The shouting started before anyone understood what was happening. A patrol car screeched at the curb. Two uniformed officers jumped out. One pointed a finger aggressively. "Hey, you! Stop right there." Darius Cole. 43 years old, tall, black, tailored charcoal suit, polished shoes, calm eyes behind rectangular glasses, paused with a briefcase in hand. He was walking toward City Hall. He had a meeting in 10 minutes. "Is there a problem?" Darius asked, voice quiet, steady. The taller officer marched right up to him, chest puffed. "There's always a problem when someone's loitering around here." Darius raised an eyebrow. "I'm on the sidewalk. I'm heading to work." "Work?" the officer scoffed. "In that suit? Don't make me laugh." Bystanders slowed. Phones appeared. Whispers rippled. The second officer circled behind Darius. "Empty your pockets," he barked. Darius remained still. "I will not be emptying my pockets," he replied. "I haven't done anything wrong." Wrong answer. The first officer stepped closer, nose almost touching Darius. "You don't get to tell us how to do our jobs." Darius didn't flinch, didn't raise his voice, but his eyes said everything. "This will not end the way you think." The officers didn't see it. They only saw a man they assumed was beneath them. They didn't know who he was. Not yet, but the street would learn, and the truth would burn. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's video, we want to thank you for your support, love, and kindness. We wouldn't have come this far without you. Subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue to bring you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Where are you watching from? Drop your city and country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. Darius stood silently while the officers circled him like wolves. "Where's your ID?" the taller one barked. "In my briefcase," Darius answered. "Open it." "No." The officer's face twisted. "Let me make this real simple," he growled. "You either open that briefcase, or we do." Darius looked directly into his eyes. "I will not be searched without cause." "You have none." People were gathering now. Some shook their heads. Others muttered. Why don't they just leave the man alone? Darius remained composed. He had lived this before. He had fought worse battles. But now it was different. He was not alone. The whole street was watching. The officer shoved him. "Don't get smart with me." Darius stumbled back a half step, but never lost balance. He straightened his jacket, adjusted his glasses. Calm, deadly calm. "I suggest you step away," he said quietly. The second officer laughed. "Oh, we got a tough guy." They moved to grab his arm, but a voice cut through the air like a blade. "Darius." A young staffer from City Hall sprinted across the sidewalk. A stack of folders flew from her hands as she ran. "Sir, you're late for the meeting. They're waiting upstairs." The officers froze. "Sir?" Darius nodded to the staffer and lifted his briefcase. "I told you," he said, tone like steel wrapped in silk. "I'm on my way to work." Whispers changed. "He works there? He's somebody?" "Oh no." The officers exchanged a glance. Something shifted in the air, but they still didn't know. "Not yet." The taller officer tried to recover. "So what?" "Being late to work doesn't mean anything." Darius stepped closer. "True," he said evenly. "Working at City Hall doesn't mean anything." He paused. "But running it does." The officer blinked. "What did you say?" Before Darius could answer, a black SUV swung around the corner. Doors opened. Security detail stepped out. Badges, suits, earpieces. The crowd gasped. They moved straight toward Darius. "Mr. Mayor, are you all right?" one asked. "Mayor." The word hung in the air like thunder. The officers went pale. The crowd erupted. "Oh my God, he's the mayor." They were harassing the mayor? This is bad. The taller officer swallowed hard. "Sir, we didn't know." Darius looked at him. "You didn't care to know." His voice was still calm, but now it carried power. A pressure, authority, truth. "You saw a black man in a suit," he said softly, and decided he didn't belong. The officer's mouth opened, but no sound came. The street was silent. Then Darius walked past him. Security surrounded him. The staffer hurried behind. But before he entered the building, He turned back, eyes locked on the man who shoved him. "I'll see you again," he said. The officers looked sick. They had no idea how true that was. Officer Hale's voice cracked first. "W8, Mr. Mayor?" Silence hit the street like a bomb. The crowd froze. The officers froze. Even traffic slowed like the city itself was listening. Darren Cole stood calmly with dust on his jacket. Wrists still red from the handcuffs they forced him into minutes earlier. The same man they shoved, insulted, threatened, treated like a criminal, all because he was black. And now, he was the mayor. Officer Briggs stumbled backward, eyes wide, throat tight. Why didn't you say? Darren wiped his wrist and answered coldly, "I want to see how you treat people when you think no one is watching." The crowd gasped. A woman whispered, "Oh my God!" He set them up, and they walked right into it. Phones were already out, not recording, just watching. A city bus driver stepped forward. "I saw everything. They harassed him, shoved him, called backup, because he was just standing there." Briggs swallowed. It was a misunderstanding. Darren's voice was steel. No, it was a pattern. A teenager yelled, "You do this to us every day." Someone clapped. Then another. Soon the whole block erupted. Applause, cheers, anger, vindication. The police department had never looked so small. Lieutenant Harper, the highest-ranking officer on scene, finally arrived. He stared at Darren, stared at the cuffs, the bruises, then turned on his own man. "What did you do?" Briggs muttered. "He looked suspicious, sir." Harper exploded. "He's the mayor." "Suspicious of what?" Hale stuttered. "Standing near a car that didn't belong to him." Darren lifted his keys. "It belongs to me." More gasps. Harper's voice dropped to a deadly whisper. "You racially profiled the mayor of the city in front of civilians during daytime traffic. You detained him without cause and put your hands on him." Hale went pale. Briggs whispered, "We're finished." Darren spoke clear and slow. "No, you're not finished." He looked around the neighborhood. Black elders, immigrant shopkeepers, teenagers with backpacks, mothers pushing strollers. "These people are finished being afraid of you." The crowd roared. Harper straightened and saluted, fully, in front of everyone. "Mr. Mayor, I apologize on behalf of the department." Darren didn't return the salute. He stared at the two officers. "You will not go back to your cars. You will not return patrol today. You will follow protocol." He took a step forward. "You will be escorted from this scene. You will write statements. And starting tomorrow, you will undergo mandatory retraining, publicly, with community oversight." Briggs whispered, "In front of them?" Darren nodded. "In front of all of them. They're the ones you failed to serve." The applause shook the street. Darren turned to the crowd and raised his hands for quiet. A calm washed over everyone. "When I took office, people told me change would be slow. They told me to be polite. They told me to be patient." He took a breath. "But today I was shoved, handcuffed, and humiliated not because I broke the law, but because someone decided I looked like I didn't belong." A young boy whispered, "That happens to us too." Darren's voice softened. "I know, and it stops now." People nodded, some wiping tears. "You are not the problem. The system is. And if I have to stand in the street with my wrists bruised to prove it, I will." The crowd erupted. Reporters rushed from vans, microphones ready. "What happened here, Mr. Mayor?" Darren didn't look at the cameras. He looked at the people. The city saw enough. They don't need a headline. They need a change. Camera flashes popped anyway. Officer Harper stepped beside him, shoulders squared. Effective immediately, there will be zero tolerance for racial profiling. Every patrol officer will be retrained under direct oversight, including me. The crowd broke into cheers. For the first time, police stood beside citizens, not above them. Later, inside City Hall, the two officers sat across from Darren. No uniforms, no weapons, just men who realized how small they had been. Briggs whispered, Why didn't you tell us who you were from the start? Darren leaned forward. Because black men should not need a title to be treated like human beings. Silence. Briggs stared at his boots. I'm ashamed, he whispered. Darren nodded. Good. Keep that feeling. Shame can be a beginning. He signed the order. Mandatory retraining. Public service assignments. Community hours. Not for punishment. For transformation. 3 weeks later. The same officers who once harassed strangers now unloaded food at community shelters. They sat in circles listening to neighborhood stories. They worked with youth instead of chasing them. They learned names, faces, pain, and pride. A woman who watched the harassment on the street walked into a meeting and said, I used to cross the road when I saw police. Now they help carry groceries. The room went silent. Sometimes change is paperwork. Sometimes it is bruises on a mayor's wrists, but always it begins with truth. At a gathering on the courthouse steps, Darren spoke to the community. For too long, people thought power meant a badge, a gun, or a title. But real power is how you treat people when you think they are nobody. He looked at the crowd. And today, we learned something together. No one is nobody. Injustice does not always scream. Sometimes it wears a uniform, a smile, or authority. But truth has a way of stripping titles and exposing character. Respect is not a gift for the powerful. Respect is a right of the human. A city changed not because a mayor demanded obedience, but because he demanded humanity. And when people finally saw one another as equals, fear melted, trust grew, and justice became real. If you cannot treat the weak with dignity, you do not deserve power.